Bjark. Feeling Swedish today. Fellas, welcome in to the PHNX Fantasy Sports Show, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. I'm your host, Shane Diefenbach, joined, as always, by Shawn and Espo. Fellas, how are we feeling on this fine Thursday?
Swedish as well.
Nice.
I also feel Swedish.
More like a meatball than Swedish.
Swedish meatball.
Isn't that crazy that IKEA just does that?
I've never been to an IKEA.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was in one.
I mean, the Swedish seem like such nice people, but then they decide to create this affront to those of us that are of the Italian heritage.
Swedish meatballs. As a quarter Italian, Swedish meatballs are pretty good.
I'm not a big sweet meat guy. Like,
let's talk about football.
Sweet meat.
Sweet meat.
Sweet meat's bad band name?
Yeah, bad band name.
Good offensive lineman name.
Yeah, well, I'd be scared. I guess that kind of works in your
Sweet
favor.
Meats would be like a really good first band name when you're still practicing in your mom's garage.
before you blow up, you're like, all right, now people are taking us serious. We gotta change
the
the
name.
name.
Yeah.
Or the kind of name when a band that's big goes to do a show that they don't want anybody to come see so they can work on new stuff. Perfect name for that.
Much like Sweet Meat, not a great occurrence. I would say I'm not a fan of it, but I'm sure most of you guys weren't a fan of the Thursday night football game last week. One of the worst games. Actually, I'm kind of like a sicko when it comes to these type of games. Like, I loved it. If I'm being honest,
I enjoyed it in the end, but for the first 57 minutes of the game, basically, I was not having fun.
57, no, probably 58, no. It's like 62 minutes because it went to overtime.
Well, no, once it got close to the overtime, to the end of regulation, I started enjoying it, is what I'm saying. But, yeah, it was prior to it going to overtime and it becoming so bad that it was good. Yeah. It was the worst football game I've ever watched, I think.
It was the ultimate hate watch.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it was fun to complain with everybody about it, but it was just a terrible. There's no way you can claim it wasn't a terrible football game.
Yeah, it wasn't great, and it wasn't a defensive chess match either. Russell Wilson just missing throws.
Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah. So let's just get into the conversation. Is Russell Wilson cooked?
I don't know. Was the surgery something legit? Was this an excuse to try to make up for the fact that they gave this guy $250 million? If he really was hurt, then it's tough to say that he was cooked because he's out there just trying to gut it out and get through it. But I mean, based on what we saw on the field, looks pretty damn close to cooked.
Yeah. I've said this many times on shows. I have quarterback tier lists, and one of them is Carson Wentz tier. Russell Wilson is in Carson Wentz tier right now.
Carson Wentz is not in that tier for me right now.
Yeah, that's probably the funniest thing. He's probably in C tier.
Yeah.
I think it goes S, which is Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I think that's it.
I mean, I think
Aaron Rodgers is an A.
What about Herbert?
Herbo's an A.
Okay.
But those are the two. Those
game breakers.
Those are the only two that can take over a game completely. Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert sometimes sneak in there, but they're mostly an A. Then B, then C, then Carson Wentz, then bad quarterbacks. Carson Wentz tier. Josh Rosen. Carson Wentz tier is a quarterback that can be good, but has Carson Wentz tendencies. Likes to. Matt Ryan is Carson Wentz tier 100%. I'll put out a tier list here soon. They have good tendencies, but they also have Carson Wentz tendencies, and that is hero ball. And Russell Wilson has been known to do this in the past, and it's not just on the field; it's also off the field and how he handles himself. Tries to be a hero when it comes to commercials, but also when it comes to rushing himself back from injury. We saw it last year with the finger injury when Geno Smith had to step in. Geno Smith started playing okay football, but Russell Wilson was like, no, I'm fine. And then he just wasn't. He was terrible. And I wonder if that finger is still bothering him because he's missing throws he shouldn't. He made a great throw to Stephon Gilmore in that game, but you know how old he is, guys? Mr. Unlimited. You know how old he is?
32.
33 years old. He's 30.
He feels so much older.
He's got... What, a 5-year contract that he got?
It's 5, but then it can go past that.
It's not.
I think it's 5 guaranteed. No,
it's not going past.
I don't think it is, and I think Broncos fans are getting a little worried now. It is Russell Wilson. I think I'm not completely checked out on it, but it's looking like it's trending in the wrong direction. And when you have to cater an offense to your quarterback because he can't throw over the middle of the field, it takes away a lot of stuff. And I think that's why we're seeing the Seahawks offense actually working now after he left is because they brought in the Rams quarterback or passing game coordinator, Shane Waldron, who's now the offensive coordinator. And they're starting to run a bunch of stuff in the middle of the field and dinks and dunks and kind of Niners offense style. Is Russ ever going to figure this offense out?
I just don't think he's good anymore. Like I mean, I think you started to see it near the end of his time in Seattle. He was not the same old Russ. I just think that there's that you're not. Most people aren't Tom Brady. Like that doesn't. Yeah. You don't just reverse time. I don't think he's going to get any better than he is now or ever was.
I think it's more about the Broncos figuring out Russell Wilson than Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
you got to figure out
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Like they need to go back and look at what were the things in Seattle that really worked and lean more into that, because trying to expect a 33-year-old quarterback with physical limitations to relearn or learn a new system and change the way he plays does not seem like the most efficient way to do it.
But part of what worked in Seattle was that Russell Wilson wasn't 33 years old.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, because what worked in Seattle was what he's trying to do now, and that's surviving off of broken plays when separators like Tyler Lockett get open, or throwing to a dominant receiver in either DK Metcalf or Courtland Sutton. And Courtland Sutton is very good, but when you're overthrowing him, it's not very good. He's not tall enough to do that. Jesus, LTC always with the comments. I already see some questions in the chat. We get to those at the end of the show. So if you have a question about your fantasy football team for week 6 or just who to trade and whatnot, make sure to drop those in the chat. We will answer them at the end of the show. Anything else on this game, guys? Anything else, if you want to touch on the Colts at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't even mention I'm good.
Yeah.
Look, from a fantasy perspective, Russell Wilson's cooked. Matt Ryan is so far beyond cooked, he's jerky.
I actually thought he played a lot better in these last 2 weeks, and a lot better from what he was.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
But I think
he went from abysmal to
it's Matty on ice. All right, it's
when
done.
you're throwing to Alec Pierce, you have problems. It's just not very good. Or what is his name? Oh, they have some receiver that went to a college football program that is no longer a college football program. Oh my God, I'll find his name in a bit.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know N'Keal Harry was on there.
Hey, come on, no ASU slander here. Eagles Cardinals. Speaking of college football programs, the Cardinals. Is it time to panic?
No, I mean they almost beat the only undefeated team in the league. If they didn't have a kicker who has no business being on an NFL roster kicking for them, which they will again this week, then everybody be talking about, oh, look at the Cardinals, despite all their injuries, have figured out a way to be 3-2 and beat the vaunted Philadelphia Eagles. Like, it's not over. I think they've actually unlocked something with Benjamin and giving him minutes. You're a week away from getting D-Hop back in the fold. Look, no, I don't think there's panic. There's concern, but not panic yet.
I mean, there's only panic if you're one of the Cardinals fans that was being unrealistic about what you should expect at the beginning of the season, thinking that this team is a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are not a Super Bowl team. They weren't a Super Bowl team last year. They overachieved for the first half of the season. They surprised me. I thought the Eagles were going to blow them out. I do think the Eagles could also potentially, and I know Jen is in the chat is an Eagles fan. I think the Eagles could be a little fraudulent. They don't really play anybody. I think they're good. They're a very good team. I don't think they're the best team in the NFL.
I think this is what's going to happen. I think the Cowboys either beat them straight up this week on Sunday Night Football or play them close, and everybody freaks out and says, see, they played a good defense, and now they're not. I think they're fine. I think they'll be just fine.
The Eagles are this year's Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think they're better. I think the Eagles are better than last year's Cardinals, but I think the result is ultimately going to be the same.
D-Hop coming back. Is this going to change the offense?
Yes.
I mean, he's better, so the offense is going to be slightly better.
Obviously, it's going to change. Is it going to make the offense exponentially better?
No.
Yes, because
they still got the same.
Hollywood Brown is now going to be your second receiver. D-Hop's a guy that can go up and get 50-50 balls, which they don't have. I mean, every receiver is my freaking height right now. They're 5'8" or less right now out there for the Cardinals. It will improve the offense significantly just because defenses have to respect the hell out of D-Hop, which now makes Rondell Moore your third receiver. AJ Green's your fourth. Like, it makes everything easier for each of those guys down the line.
But
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is still throwing the football.
Come on.
It's not Kyler, it's Cliff.
Okay.
I mean, I still don't like Kyler's decision making. I think people in this market overrate Kyler a little bit. He's got a lot of physical talent, but I don't think he is up here one of the greats.
Yeah, I want to stay away from the Kyler talk.
Fair enough.
He's a hell of a fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, fair. That is very fair.
Let's talk about a hell of a fantasy defense in the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
They didn't get Matt Rule fired, but they were the last straw. This defense just causes hell on earth for teams. I was talking to Shawn about this earlier before the show. So this is a really weird fantasy season. I mean, I've seen people with teams that literally score 34 points. And they're good rosters.
Yeah.
But
I've had that 1 week.
Yeah, fantasy is weird this year, and it's because if you look at sports betting, the unders are hitting at an all-time high. A ton of them are. It's because there's not a lot of points, and what that means is there's certain defenses that are working, and this year it's the too high. It's the cover 2, and defenses. It's what they did to Pat Mahomes, but the Niners don't do that. They run a cover 6 with, and I don't want to get too nerdy here because I know it's boring.
You already have.
I enjoy it though.
Talanoa Hufanga is Troy Polamalu.
You love saying that name.
I do. It's my favorite thing to say. Is Troy Polamalu version 2. He trains with him. He jumps snap counts. Is this defense the best defense in the NFL?
Yes. Yes. Well, because the Bills have too many injuries, and I think the Bills are in that conversation if they're at full strength. But I mean, what they're doing with this team, especially when you put it in the context of what their offense is and really who their quarterback is, and the fact that they have such an offensive-minded coach, I think it's got to be the best defense in the NFL.
I agree, but I think at some point offenses catch up to it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially even in their division.
That was my next question. So I believe it was the 2020 season, maybe 2020, when everyone started running too high against Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, and they struggled to push the ball downfield because Mahomes didn't want to take anything short. And then their offense exploded. I don't think the workaround is just to start taking things short because offenses do that right now. But I think the offenses will catch up eventually. And I think overs are going to start hitting like crazy. Are you guys confident that teams like the Bengals, who rely on these deep threats, are going to figure it out in the next couple weeks, or do you think it's going to take a little longer?
I'm not a believer in the Bengals right now. If we're talking,
we'll get to buy or sell with
the
them
Bengals, but I think eventually offenses will scheme around these things. The deep balls will be more prevalent. It's always a chess match, right?
Yeah.
Early, you're going to have defenses be a little bit ahead. Offenses are going to adjust once you get more film on each of these schemes. So I think offenses will catch up on this.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of the NFL. Everything, I mean, we were talking about it with the Chiefs. The defenses figure out how to stop teams, and then those teams figure out how to stop those defenses, and it's cyclical. So, I mean, eventually they'll figure it out, but I mean, it's a pretty good defense. At the end of the day, the talent gets you somewhere, and they have a lot of talent on the defense. So, I think if the defense stays the way it is, they'll get figured out, but I have faith that they will be able to adapt. Yeah. I don't think they're going to get anywhere.
And of course, we're totally oversimplifying this.
Yeah,
people aren't just sending 2 high safeties out there and then call it a day.
They aren't?
a lot of the reason why this Niners defense, and the last thing I'll say on it, is so good with Hufanga is because he is, the true strong safety. He's a lot like Cam Chancellor, where they can put him in the box, but they can also run this cover 6 where defenses can't throw in it, but also you can't run like you would be able against a too high because he's in the box and he's just disrupts everything. So yeah, obviously it's not as easy as it sounds, but I do think that eventually toward the latter half of the year, we're going to see some offensive explosions. Jamar Chase owners, I think he'll be okay. We'll get to that in a little bit.
I feel like if your receivers are playing the 49ers over the next few weeks and you have viable backups, go with the backups just to try to optimize your point scoring.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about the Panthers. If you have anybody on the Panthers, including McCaffrey, go try to trade him. All right, Ravens and Bengals. Last week we talked about Harbaugh going for it on fourth down and not taking his points against the Bills. He learned, quote unquote learned. I still think it's the right decision to go for it.
I agree.
And they won the game. But I heard an interesting take. Harbaugh, so when coaches make decisions based on what people are going to say about him off the field, like, first take and stuff, that's stupid.
Yes.
But when you make a decision based on what the locker room is going to feel like if he would have gone for it and they didn't get it again, I think you lose the locker room a little bit. Regardless of what happens if you take the points here, I think the locker room likes it. Are you guys pro on making your players happy with play calling, or do you think you just do whatever the analytics say or what you think is best?
I mean, I feel like the head coach just has to do what they think is best. Because I feel like I understand the not taking the points, you lose the locker room, but I feel like you also lose the locker room if you as the coach start doubting yourself. I feel like players start to recognize that.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's a good coach. Like, he's been doing this for a minute.
Great coach.
I
think he's the longest tenured coach outside of Belichick right now in the NFL.
Is he longer than Tomlinson?
Oh, Tomlinson, Belichick, and Tomlinson and Belichick, I think.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he is not. What's it called? He's not the Chargers coach. Why am I blanking on his name?
Grant Staley.
Yeah, Staley. Like, I don't think he's going if he was going full off the deep end with the analytics, that'd be a little bit of a problem. But I think he knows what he's doing. So I feel like he just has to keep doing what he's doing.
No risk it, no biscuit, baby. Go for it. If that's what you believe in, if that's what you think's going to get you the win, to hell with what the locker room thinks, because you're supposed to be the leader. And the second you're doing things just to simply appease those in the locker room, you're not the leader. You've forgotten that, and you need to commit to what you believe in. If that's what you believe in, do it.
Yeah, we'll touch on the Bengals later because it's in buy or sell, but this team it's freaking me out. It's not freaking me out because I did predict them to lose a lot of games this year. I actually said they'd be under 500.
You did.
They're trending that way. Is this just a Super Bowl hangover, or were they a little bit fraudulent last year?
I think a little bit of both. You look at the Rams; they're also kind of going through a hangover, but they also are a little fraudulent. I just think there was a lot of young people that the NFL didn't really know a whole lot about, and now they're starting to figure them out a little bit. So it's gonna. And I think they'll finish the season stronger. They'll figure it out a little bit, but I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. I don't think they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. I don't think they'll be back in the AFC Championship unless, I guess it depends on how it all lays out. But yeah, I guess they're a little fraudulent.
I think it's tough to call anybody fraudulent year to year in the NFL. Within one season, yes, the Cardinals were fraudulent the first half of last season, but year to year, there's so much that changes in this league. Teams go from worst to first all the time. I don't think the Bengals last year were fraudulent. I just think there was a market correction this year.
Yeah.
Teams bettered their roster. They didn't do enough. Those are the kind of things that alter the landscape. I don't think the Bengals were fraudulent, but they're definitely not returning this year.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the word fraudulent to describe them, but I will use the word lucky. Yeah. And that's because of turnover luck. Yeah, 100%. They got a ton of it. There is no way you can say they didn't have turnover luck last year. Just look at the stats. I think they had one turnover in a month and a half and forced 10 takeaways, which sure, that's good defense and Jesse Bates being a ball hawk, but it's also tipped balls, just luck. It's just how it goes. They correct themselves, and I think they're getting corrected at the start of this year. We'll move on to the last game of Week 5. We're recapping Raiders and Chiefs. Holy hell, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, before this game, Devontae Adams was only targeted deep, I think 3 or 4 times.
Interesting.
What are we doing? Clearly it worked. So that's one thing. Devontae Adams is going to be fine.
And fined.
Yeah, and fined. Yeah, and charged. But are the other receivers going to be fine? Is Darren Waller going to be fine? Where is Hunter Renfrow? Is he sabotaging this team? Fumbled against the Cardinals twice and then ran into Devontae Adams.
That's Devontae Adams' fault.
Really?
Yes. I saw a receiver.
Because of the press.
I saw a receiver break it down. Devontae Adams supposed to outside release there.
Yep.
The Hunter Renfrow could have stuttered at the line.
Was that L'Jarius Sneed on him?
I don't know. I don't remember. But theoretically it's Davante's fault.
Yeah, he was supposed to go outside.
I mean, it's going to be tough for any receiver when you're bringing in arguably the best receiver in the NFL,
but
and he also has a relationship.
But
with
we've seen this help with Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, but
Hunter Renfrow is, and it's not just because they're both white. They both find soft zones. That's what they do.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Cole Beasley and Hunter Renfrow is that Cole Beasley had Joshua Allen throwing to him, and Hunter Renfrow has Derek Carr throwing to him. And again, Derek Carr has a very long history with Davante, and I feel like Derek might be getting a little pressure, not from Davante, but like now Davante is not being full blown Davante, and he feels kind of a need to get his guy the ball, and I just feel like it's not working out. I just don't like Derek Carr as a quarterback, and I feel like that's the root of all problems. And their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, you just hit it. There's two reasons. Derek Carr is fraudulent, and Josh McDaniels is not a head coach in this league. We've seen this play out before in Denver. Like, this guy just ain't going to get it done. And I think we're seeing that in Las Vegas right now.
Yep. Now going on the other side, the Chiefs. I won a fantasy game solely because of Travis Kelce. I was down by 28 points. The man had, I think, 7 catches and 4 touchdowns. Why does he keep getting open? Defenses know that the ball is going to him. What makes him so good at 33 years old?
Oh, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is throwing to him. Andy Reid's the coach that's scheming for him. They've got one of the better offenses in the league. I mean, good offenses and good players, especially tight ends, find a way to get open, especially when you got a quarterback that can throw it any which way. I mean, they're just good. They're just damn good.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are just better than everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean,
except for the Bills, right?
We'll see. We'll see this weekend. But I mean, yeah, they're just better than everybody. Yeah. I mean, I think the most talented quarterback in the history of the NFL. A guy that we had this discussion, Mount Rushmore of tight ends in the NFL. Like, I don't think that it's really that complicated. And they have a tremendous head coach. Yeah. Like, it's a trifecta where also, all 3 of them are going to succeed.
A fantasy trend that continued to show. If you have CEH in your lineup and he's playing primetime, take him out of your lineup. Yeah. He doesn't do anything on primetime. Ransom in the chat saying, is Davante Adams really that guy, though? Rodgers threw to him his whole career. You can flip that. Is Aaron Rodgers really that guy?
Yes, come on
threw
now.
to Davante Adams the entire year.
He did not throw to his... Aaron Rodgers precedes Davante Adams.
I know.
So...
Davante Adams is the best technical receiver in the NFL, and I don't think it's close.
Who else did Rodgers have to throw to? Also, like,
yeah.
So I think there's a bit of an inflation because he was that offense there in Green Bay, but there's a definite downgrade when you go from Aaron Rodgers throwing you the ball to Derek Carr. I don't care if you went to college with him, if he's married your sister, if you've known him his whole life. It doesn't matter what your relationship with the quarterback is if he's not as good.
Yeah.
One played Power 5 football. The other did not.
Davante Adams still top 3 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean,
good. Just want to make sure.
Skill-wise, yeah.
I think I don't even have him in any of my leagues, but the man needs more targets, plain and simple.
I feel like you're a closet Aaron Rodgers hater.
I said this on the Bet Show. He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yes.
He's unbelievable. He's supremely talented. If I wouldn't have been talking about him like this last year, I'm just so sick of him. I'm so sick of the shenanigans off the field. It's just it's gotten to a point where it's just it's weird.
If it wasn't for the whole immunized thing, I would love him. I think he's so funny.
Yeah, but it's also I don't know. It's just matter. Everything is so.
I think all of it's an act.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
I think he's just smarter than everybody.
I think he's bored.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of seeing him on my phone. All right, woo-hoo. Time for winners and woofs. Espo, we'll start with you. Who's your winner for this week?
Anybody that had Josh Allen on their fantasy roster. I mean, I think he had 60 points for me at the half. Like, I think he finished with 80. I scored almost 200 points.
We do not have a traditional scoring format.
No, we do not. I had almost 200 points in the game. But I mean, he's my winner. Yeah. He was amazing what he did on the field.
Shawn?
I mean, and saying this partially because I owned him and he's been sitting on IR and now he's back. B-Rob, baby.
Men. Wish death.
Yeah, I was gonna start singing and then I fucked it up. No, I fucked it up, not Shane. Yeah, but I mean, it's you. He led the football team in touches. I refuse to call them the Commanders. They're still the football team.
Thank you, WFT. Coolest name in football.
Yeah. He led them in touches. He's
9-3.
Yeah. I just feel like if you've been one of the people that have been storing him on your bench, it's nice to have him back.
Yep, I have him in one of my leagues. Super excited. Definitely need to start him this week with Dameon Pierce on a bye.
Coolest entrance.
Oh,
yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, it is like the single hardest thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
The first time I saw the clip, I thought somebody had edited the song in. I was like, no way. And then I saw a shot from the crowd. I was like, oh my God, that was really it. Awesome.
Really cool. My winner this week is the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about them a little bit, but this defense, a traditional man defense, they almost only play man and zone in rare situations like third and longs. But when you can teach Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters to just sit in zones the whole game and it works against one of the most explosive offenses in recent history from last year, round of applause. I mean, this defense showed they can adapt, and that's something that one, defensive coordinators can't do often, especially against a defense or an offense like this. But two, they just don't want to because of their pride. They think their way is the highway, and that's all that matters. The Ravens are my winner this week, specifically their defense, but also Mr. Lamar Jackson. He's just, even when he's not putting up gaudy stats, he's such an underrated decision maker. Yeah. He doesn't throw interceptions. His decision making and ball placement has gotten so much better this year. I still think they're slept on this year. All right, let's get into woofs. Shawn, we'll start with you. Who's your loser this week?
Christian Kirk. It hurts. 2 straight weeks where he's had single digits fantasy points in standard PPR. 2.1 last week. 1 reception for 11 yards. It's 2 straight weeks of him not performing after 3 straight weeks of him being one of the best fantasy receivers in football. So I'm getting slightly concerned. I'm getting slightly concerned about the Jags.
Are you surprised about Christian Kirk, though?
I mean, I drank the Kool-Aid for sure. After the first 3 weeks, I was not in on just him, but in on Doug Peterson, in on Trevor Lawrence, and on the Jags in general. Not feeling as good about it anymore. So yeah, Christian Kirk is definitely my loser of the week, mainly because I own him in multiple leagues, and he screwed me for 2 straight weeks.
Christian Kirk's the villain in Scooby-Doo where you pull off the mask and you go, I knew it was you. Like, this is what he did in Arizona. You have big weeks and then he completely disappeared.
Yeah, but he has a better coach and a quarterback with more potential. I'm not going to say he's better than Kyler because he's not at this point, but quarterback with more potential. A quarterback that could have been better and a quarterback that was playing better than Kyler in the first 3 weeks. So I thought it might be different. And he's a true number 1 now, or on paper, the number 1 now.
He's a slot receiver still, but yes.
Yeah. I think my woof was a Cardinals receiver, Greg Dortch. This guy comes through first 3 weeks, looks like he could be the real deal. Rondell Moore comes back, and they ghosted him. Like, even though he was one of the most consistent receivers on that roster, they give Rondell Moore all the snaps. Again, this past week, AJ Green gets snaps. Greg Dortch deserves to be on the field, and I don't think we're going to see him. And I had held out hope. I kept him on my bench, but I cut him today because I need somebody that's actually going to get me points.
Yeah, my woof is somebody's playing tonight. It's Darnell Mooney. Saw that great catch he made last week, right?
Yeah.
The go route from Justin Fields. How many fantasy points he finished with? 7.2.
Oh, look at
me. He had 2 catches for 50 yards on 5 targets. That offense is terrible. If you still own a wide receiver on the Bears, what are you doing? Just stop.
Why?
The Bears and the Panthers. And
the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants receivers are.
Yeah.
If you are holding out hope on KT, Kadarius Toney, I commend you because he's a supreme talent. Just not going to stay on the field.
If you're holding out hope for a Panthers receiver, I respect it because they're probably going to get traded to a team that can actually use that.
Ravens, go get Curtis Samuel from the Commanders. That's something I heard that DJ Moore fan club or DJ Moore, either of them. There's going to be a fire sale for both those teams. I feel like the Commanders still think they can win, or the WFT.
Excuse me. Need a defense.
That was winners and woofs, and it was woofs because we are presented by Underdog Fantasy. I want to tell you about the easiest and most fun way to spice up your football season. It's Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just pick your favorite or least favorite, looking at you, Aaron Rodgers, stats and say if they're going to go higher or lower than the total given. So if you think Aaron Rodgers is not going to throw an interception, you can take his lower on interceptions at a half. And we'll give out some of our favorites in a second. But you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night if you get all of your picks right. It just adds a little bit of flair to football, and they also have daily fantasy. And we do the daily fantasy draft on this show. It's just a lot of fun. Espo, I know you came short, and this was on the Suns last night, right?
Look, the Suns basically sat their top 10 guys on the roster, maybe top 8 yesterday for various reasons in the preseason. I got to watch this game for work, but I got to do something to make this interesting. So I went in and I played the pick'em, higher, lower, and went with Jock Landell over 17 rebounds and points, hit it. Went De'Aaron Fox under 22 points and assists combined, hit it. And then I was dumb enough to bet higher on Josh Okogie, 9 points, and Damian Lee, 10 points, thinking, well, somebody's got to score, not realizing that Dwayne Washington Jr. was going to do all the scoring. So I missed out on $150 on a $15 bet, but it made it interesting. I actually watched every second of it with bated breath while looking at the box score. So it makes things more fun for sure.
Shawn, do you have anything fun?
Well, I just, as Espo was talking, put a little bit on the Coyotes game tonight. Nick Schmaltz over half a point, Clayton Keller over 2 shots, Sidney Crosby over half an assist. But for football tonight, I'm in on Carson Wentz and B-Rob, baby. Carson Wentz over 14 and 14.75 fantasy points. I just think we talked about it. He goes stupid on Thursday nights. And then Brian Robinson higher than 48.5 rush yards. Had 49 last week. Or no. Excuse me. I'm looking at the projected stats. He's projected to have 49 in fantasy. Like 20 or 30. Yeah, but he's playing the 23rd ranked rushing defense in fantasy football.
And the Commanders' O-line is looking okay.
Yeah.
I like Carson Wentz to go higher tonight, and we'll get into our favorites in a second. But before then, you can search in the App Store. Click the link in the show notes and sign up using that promo code PHNX, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. So make sure to do so. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PHNX. Get in on the action today. Woo-hoo! Guys, favorite prop or favorite pick 'em tonight, higher or lower, anything, or on the weekend. What do you guys like?
Well, I was hoping my boy PJ Walker for the Panthers would be in there, but I got nothing on there. So I'm going to take higher Kyler Murray 0.5 interceptions. I think it's going to be a shootout in Seattle, and when that happens and you got to throw a lot, Kyler tends to at least make one mistake. So
I feel like the football team's defense is going to kind of come out and try to prove a point against a really bad team. So I think that Justin Fields is going to be running for his life. So I'm going Justin Fields higher than 8 rushing attempts. I just feel like he's going to have to do something crazy. Plus, this game could end up being really weird and like a close game and maybe a high-scoring game. Like, I don't really know. I just feel like Justin Fields is going to have to go kind of beast mode, and I feel like I just like over or higher than 8 rushing attempts. Yeah,
my favorite by far tonight is the pick'em of Curtis Samuel higher than 5 receptions. No Jahan Dotson, no Logan Thomas. They're going to throw the ball a bunch. Curtis Samuel is the only option. Give me his higher on 5 receptions. And put those together with a couple other things like Brian Robinson's higher 7.75 fantasy points and Carson Wentz higher than 225 passing yards. That right there pays out 6 times your money.
I'm feeling a little saucy. I'm going to put higher on 11.5 rushing yards for Carson Wentz.
I thought about it for a second. I thought about it. I actually just cooked something up.
Actually, you have to incorporate a player from the other
that's why I got
team.
Justin Fields rushing attempts on there.
Justin Fields rushing attempts over 8?
Higher than 8.
Higher than 8?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's nothing like having to root for a quarterback to run in a game. Like, it adds a whole element that you feel ridiculous, but you love it all the same. Like last week, I think I had Matty Ice at 2.5 yards, and in overtime, he runs it, and I'm freaking out, hoping he got 2.5, 3 yards on a carry. I love it. It's just so dumb, but it's so much fun.
Yeah, I got Carson Wentz higher than 14.75 fantasy points. Brian Robinson higher than 7.75 fantasy points. J.D. McKissick higher than 3 receptions. Curtis Samuel higher than 5 receptions. Thank you, Shane. And Justin Fields higher than 8 rushing attempts. $10 to win $200.
Give me David Montgomery lower, 83.5 rushing and receiving yards. Khalil Herbert's been okay coming back from an injury. Getting that extra bonus for the receiving yards, I think, is going to work because I don't think they're going to be passing well that much. And if it is, it's below the line of scrimmage or before the line of scrimmage, and that defensive line is going to eat tonight. That pays out 10 times your money.
You taking higher, lower 2 times you throw up from these ugly all orange uniforms by the Bears today.
Lower. Turn me up. Turn me all the way up.
I'm here for just
Chaos.
Not just chaos, but like color block, like everything one color.
Yeah.
I love action green.
Yep.
I love the all oranges. Bills color rush.
Color rush is just great.
Yeah.
All right.
Saints white, all white.
Got some more questions in the chat. We will get to those at the end of the show. But first, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, buy or sell. This is where we tell you guys if we are buying or selling this player. This doesn't mean just drop or add. It means if you can trade for him or if you have them, are you just going to sell them or buy them at a high or low value? We'll start with somebody who had a great performance last week, Mr. Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, buying or selling?
Buy.
Sell. Yeah, I'm selling. He's not as good as what you saw last week. You're not going to get another 32-point performance.
You're not going to get another 98-yard touchdown.
Yeah, like that. What happened was ridiculous. If you're in a league with people who just kind of look at the box score, aren't huge Bills fans, you probably can get something for him because people are like, oh, he had 3 touchdowns.
He's definitely a good, still a solid flex play.
Yeah, like
not a wide receiver.
If you can get someone to overpay for him, absolutely sell. I mean, I think he's a solid person to have on your roster. But you look at the rest of his, like the 2 weeks before, they had 2 points and 6 points, or just over, in fantasy. In the first week, he had 18. Didn't play week 2.
Yeah, who does he think he is? Christian Kirk?
Yeah, they play KC this week. I just, when you have Stephon Diggs as that number 1 option, I just don't. And also, there keeps on being tossed that they're going to end up trading for Christian McCaffrey or trading for Saquon Barkley. Like, if that happens, that's only going to hurt Gabe. And Isaiah McKenzie should be back. So that's another option that's going to take away targets. When you look at who Josh Allen was throwing to last week, it was Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and Khalil Shakir. Like it was
who scored?
Exactly.
Good for Khalil
Shakir. So but when you get a guy that Josh Allen has a little bit more confidence with, I feel like that's just going to take even more targets away from Gabe Davis. And again, like you said, not going to have another 98 touchdown.
Yeah.
I am selling Gabe Davis while his stock is high.
Speaking of receivers, going all the way back to the start of the show, Ashton Doolin was the guy's name. He went to Malone University, and that is no longer a college football program. Receiver for the Colts who just got put on IR. RIP. All right, next one. Let's get into Mr. Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, obviously a monster game last week. Are we buying or selling?
Same thing with Gabe Davis. Sell. I mean, what has Taysom Hill done so far this year, fantasy-wise? He had 15 points the first week, and then he went 1.4.
Yep,
and then
inconsistent
8.1 after not playing week 3. It's the same thing with Gabe Davis. It's a guy that sure, he has on occasion boom potential, but he's not a tight end, he's not a quarterback. Like you have to hope that he gets his number called in the way that he did last week, and then you also have to hope that he makes plays.
Yeah,
I think it's a situation just like Gabe Davis, where if you get someone who's not paying much attention, you can sell him for more than he's worth. You absolutely do it. Otherwise, I don't even think he's worth taking up a roster spot.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're desperate, unless you got a lot of injuries or you got Devontae Adams and he's suspended for an amount of time, and for some reason Taysom's available in your league. I don't like gimmicky guys in fantasy. It's boom or bust, and you can't rely on that. You need guys that you have a baseline of, this is at least what I'm going to get at.
Yeah, the one thing about him, though, is that not a whole lot of good tight ends. And so the fact that he fits into a tight end slot, if you're desperate, which I guess I kind of am in some leagues, it might be worth it. But otherwise, I would sell.
Just added Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Definitely added in our fantasy this week.
Max just
it's always
added.
great when we got a guy off mic talking.
People in Utah are buying Hill, and you know what I say about Utah? Go fuck yourself, Utah.
All right, Josh Jacobs, buy or sell? I'm buying, man. He looked good, and I know a lot of it was because this defense was sitting back in, again, the too high, and there wasn't a lot of people in the box. But I think he looked like a good runner.
Listen, man, I think this is another sell situation for the same reason. The Raiders are creeping into Carolina territory for me, where I don't really have any interest in anyone on the team. 2 straight weeks of over 30 points in fantasy against Denver and KC. I feel like if you can sell him for a lot, you sell him for a lot. Like, especially because Josh Jacobs, unlike the last 2 guys we talked about, has name value. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, Josh Jacobs, I know who that is."
True.
Like, if you can oversell him for something, I think it's worth it, especially if you need something in another position. Like if you have running back depth and you need a receiver or something, I feel like that's definitely something worth exploring.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it depends on your situation. I personally would sell, but if I have really weak running backs, it's the kind of guy that you almost have to throw in there because there's the chance that he has games like last week. So I'm selling, but I could understand where somebody would make the buy argument for their specific.
Yeah. All right, we got to speed through these because we still got a couple things to get to, and you got to be on Southwest Bias right after this. So the Bengals, their offense entirely. Are we buying any of these guys, or are we selling right now?
Sell.
I'm buying Hayden Hurst because, again, tight ends are weak, and I need a tight end.
I think it was a revenge game, though.
That's true. But, I mean, again, I just need a tight end in a lot of leagues, and Hayden Hurst is good enough.
I mean, I own Jamar Chase in one of my leagues. I'm holding on to him for now. I just people know what to do. They know what to do against this offense who was so good last year, and Joe Burrow is getting scared from coughs and sneezes out left and right because of Lael Collins, who's just one of the worst tackles graded in NFL history right now. If you have a speed rusher lined up against him, he's getting ran past, and Burrow's getting dropped like a fly. So I don't know. I think if you have Jamar Chase, I don't think there's a reason to just give up on him. Like he's still getting you 15 points even when he doesn't do much. But
yeah, I'm right there.
I think everybody else, Tyler Boyd, T Higgins, I'd still keep just because he's T Higgins. If you can buy low on one of these guys, Jamar Chase or T Higgins, do it. Don't go pick up Tyler Boyd. If Geno Smith is available, I'd start him over Joe Burrow right now. Genuinely, because that's why our next one is Geno Smith. Geno Smith, are we buying or selling, guys? Is he the real deal?
I'm buying. I mean, until proven otherwise, this offense is operating at a high clip. He's getting the job done. If you're in a pinch and for some reason he's still available in your league, go make the pickup. I mean,
he's the highest QBR in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
which is insane.
I mean,
think about it.
I have a team that my quarterbacks are Russell Wilson and Tua Tagovailoa. Geno seems like a better option than both of them. I just picked up Carson Wentz to start this week over Russell Wilson. He's a better option than Russ at this point, I think. I mean, he's playing kind of out of his mind, and I like it. So, I feel like you buy right now if you need a quarterback.
Should have picked up P.J. Walker.
LTC, that's just mean. Somebody offered him Kenneth Walker for Jamar Chase. That is just mean. Joshua Kelly, backup running back for the Chargers. Obviously, Austin Eckler is the touchdown guy and the high volume guy, but Joshua Kelly can sneak in there. Are you buying for a flex option?
I'm not personally, because I'm not in a situation in any of my leagues where I need a backup running back to be my flex.
If you need a backup running back to be your flex, are you buying Joshua Kelly?
No. I'd rather have a wide receiver in my flex.
I like Joshua Kelly, especially if you're in PPR formats. He's a high volume guy for what he is, for an RB2. I'm buying.
Yeah, I'm selling because just like the guys earlier, he played out of his mind compared to what he's done the rest of the season. If you could sell him for more than he's worth, you do it. I mean, it's the first. He hadn't scored more than 5.5 fantasy points prior to last week. So
this next guy's stock is going up rapidly, and you know what else is going up? The forks, because it's Eno Benjamin. Eno Benjamin, are we buying or selling?
For this weekend, I'm buying. There's no other running backs that are going to be fully healthy. We saw what he can do, and like I said before, I think this is going to be a shootout against the Seahawks. So get him while you can.
Yeah,
I'm starting him this week in one of my leagues.
I'm starting, this week. I'm buying if you can get him before this weekend. 30th ranked rush defense, fantasy rush defense in football. Like everything.
I'm not just buying for this weekend. I think he can trend toward getting a lot more touches later in the year too.
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
keeping him on my
That's
roster.
trusting Cliff Kingsbury, and that's a dangerous thing to trust.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm starting him and AJ Dillon in one of my leagues. It's so gross.
Still has to play San Francisco twice.
I have Brian Robinson on the bench, but on my bench I have Damian Pierce and Jamal Williams that are both. I didn't go. I'm a zero running back guy. That's just how I roll. I'm doing well. So, last guy, tight end Dalton Schultz, a guy you could rely on as a fantasy beast, but now without Dak, not a lot going on. Are you buying or selling?
I mean, honestly, I would buy because you're not going to have to give up much for him. Dak is going to be back eventually, and like you said,
I think he's a great tight end choice if you don't have one.
Yeah, like the 1 week that he produced with Dak. So once Dak's back, I think because I think realistically Dak is going to be the starter. I don't think there's really much. I don't think Cooper Rush is. They paying Dak so much goddamn money. They have to give him back that starting job. And then Dalton Schultz will perform again, and he's not worth anything this week. You should. If he's even owned in your league, you should be able to get stuff.
Obviously, disclaimer: he is injured right now. They'll sprain PCL, but I think he'll be fine. Especially when Dak comes back.
Am I the only one that drafts a tight end early to solidify the position?
If
so
it's not Kelsey or Mark Andrews, I don't think it's worth drafting it. If you can get Kelsey or Mark Andrews, then absolutely.
That's usually what I do. I go for one of those two because I'm a believer in get the top in positions where you got to go dumpster diving if you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like.
It depends because you have to have like the right pick to get him. Because if you're top 5,
you're either reaching or you don't. Yeah. In one of my leagues, I drafted Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller as a tight end and flex option. Hasn't worked out, but I'm 4-1.
Great on paper for sure.
Yeah, great on paper. All right. Well, before we answer our questions, it's time to get into the war room, fellas.
Oh yeah,
it's time to get into the war room where we're going to be drafting our favorite matchups or our favorite players in Daily Fantasy for tonight on the Underdog Fantasy app. Guys, it's just that easy. You can invite your friends to your own draft. Use that promo code PHNX. Let me get this ready for you guys. Keep the people entertained.
So I actually, after last week's draft, was projected to have the most points and yet still finish third out of the 3.
Yeah, I was leading for a while. That was an ugly game. Hopefully we get something a little better this week.
Some actual offensive production tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I had McManus though. So that ended up paying off for me because we were doing all kickers or it was all field goals.
Yeah, I almost feel like I have to draft one of the kickers tonight in this just simply because of my PTSD from last Thursday night where that was the only way you were winning.
Who's the Bears kicker? Is it Santos? Yeah, I think we got to see where he is at in like projected point wise, but I feel like it's Thursday night football. A kicker's probably going to get you points.
These drafts are the ones that I think I get most fired up about in my week in fantasy, just because it's against the 2U, and I'm like, I got to prove I can do something, even though I have failed miserably since we've been doing this.
Yeah, so for the record, last week, Shane destroyed us. He had 49.2 fantasy points with the team. Gordon, Alec Pierce, and Mike Boone. Alec Pierce had 16. He was the leading scorer for his team. I came in second with Russell Wilson, Michael Pittman, Mo Alley, Cox. Like I said, Shane fooled me. What's that?
You guys in?
Oh, not yet. Shane fooled me and told me not to scratch my Mo Alley Cox, or told me to scratch my Mo Alley Cox after I said I didn't want to. And so I scratched my Mo Alley Cox in this draft. It did not work out for me.
Yeah, you never should do that in public.
All right, well, let's get going. You guys into the draft. It is just that easy. We got about a minute until it starts. Weird game tonight. What's the draft order? Am I last again?
Yes, Espo's first, me second, Shane is third.
This is like the worst game to have the first pick in. There's no good answer here.
Guys, Underdog Fantasy, I'm telling you, it's not only just so much fun to do, but also you can keep track. I'm 1-0 against these guys.
Yes.
And it's so easy to set up. You literally just click share draft. You can create a private draft on the app, and then you text it to them. They got a text.
They took 2 clicks.
Yeah, it's
tap. I'm in a draft.
It would have been faster, but Shawn was just staring at his phone.
Yeah, I didn't. I got my phone. I do not disturb. I didn't see the text.
Anybody here stick out to you on the draft list, Espo? Who do you think you're going to go with?
I don't want to give Espo anything. I hope he messes up this first pick.
The kicker? Like, I feel
Can you take the punter?
Cairo Santos projected 2 points.
I mean, I'm looking at Carson Wentz and I'm like, I think I had to go there, but I feel dirty about it.
You don't have to go there.
I mean, it feels like some of my dating life in college. I think I have to go there.
Espo, you are now on the clock.
Fine, I'm taking Carson Wentz.
Damn. I guess, you know what? I'm going Curtis Samuel.
Okay.
I just feel like, why not?
Let me see. All right. Who is available for me? I got to go Justin Fields just for the projection, just because he's the only other quarterback. And then give me, I feel it today. Many men wish death upon me. Give me Brian Robinson.
All righty, I'm back. I mean, I guess I have to go the other starting running back.
Jacob, you want to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb just in case something weird happens?
I'm gonna start.
My friends are watching this show.
Yeah, I gotta go David Montgomery in the situation.
Thanks, Jacob.
I feel like that's the only real option there.
Nice.
Going Cairo Santos.
Yeah, baby.
I'm going field goal kickers here. Let's.
You gonna go the other kicker?
I think I'm gonna go the other kicker.
I love it.
Respect the hell out of
it.
Who is the other kicker in this game? As I'm looking at
Joey Sly, is it? No.
Yeah, Joey Sly.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow, look at my kicker knowledge.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did not know that one. I knew Cairo, but
yeah, I think I'm gonna do that because
that's hilarious.
It's Thursday night.
Also,
and
chat, feel free
ranked.
to make fun of us if you think there's somebody on the board that should have been taken already.
I guess I have to go Scary Terry.
Damn
right?
it.
Like,
thought he was going to slip.
He's the guy.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right. These are my last two. I'm not taking Darnell Mooney. I can't. Give me Antonio Gibson. This worked last week when I handcuffed both running backs because I had Mike Boone and what's his name? Bad fumbler man. Yeah. Melvin Gordon. Bad fumbler man.
The third.
And give me N'Keal here. No, I'm kidding. Give me Khalil Herbert as well.
Coward.
Oh wait. Oh, never mind. I was gonna take JD McKissick so I get all three of them, but that'd just be weird.
You know, it's half PPR, right?
Yeah, half PPR.
We're gonna go JD McKissick.
Wow, Darnell Mooney's still on the board.
You know, you know what?
You
know what? I'm going Darnell Mooney because last week you scared me You scared me into drafting Mo Alley Cox, and it was wrong. I'm not going to let you do this to me again. I'm doing Darnell Mooney.
I'm going the big JD McKissick for my two kickers.
The big small man.
You got two kickers, JD McKissick and Carson Wentz.
Who's projected to win?
Not me.
I am projected to blow you guys out. 48.9 points. Shane has 39.3 points. Espo has 28.2.
You have to go the Thursday special. You always got to go kicker.
I respect it. I respect the strategy. Last week I was projected to win, and Shane ended up pulling it out. So we'll see.
All right. Well, let's just get right into the questions now. We only got a couple minutes left. We'll go through all of the questions. That was the War Room presented by Underdog Fantasy. Do this every single Thursday, usually at 3 p.m. So make sure to join us for the results for tonight. And definitely get in on the action. Do your own fantasy draft. If you don't have friends, that's okay. You can get into a pool with random people.
I'll be your friend.
We will be your friend.
Is it okay if you don't have friends?
Yes, it's okay, Espo.
Is it?
I don't
Come on.
If you don't on Twitter, I'll be in your league.
We're your friends. All right. Let's get into some questions. If you guys have them, drop them in the chat. We'll answer them right now. Let's go with the first question that was asked, Jacob. Lima on Twitter, Pickens or Higbee PPR this week? Ooh. I love what Pickens is doing with Mr. Kenny Pickett. The offense is not, or the team is not good. Ooh, they have the Buccaneers, though. Steelers at home against the Buccaneers.
Who are
and the Rams are at home against the Panthers. I'd probably go Higbee.
I'd go Higbee.
Just because I think this Buccaneers defense is really going to turn it up here.
Yeah, and the Panthers are the Panthers.
All right.
And they got the interim coach bump.
Next question from Twitter. McNally asking, what are your thoughts on BYU going full Ricky Bobby and putting a cougar on the helmet?
Those helmets are hard.
Yeah, they're hard. They go crazy.
Did you see him, Espo?
I did.
Hard.
Anytime you can get a cougar involved, you got to.
All right, let's go into the questions that were asked on this show. We'll start with Leah. Question for later on behalf of my friend Kevin. Is it smart to start the man who was shot? Talking about Mr. Brian Robinson. I did tell her friend that she should stick with Brian Robinson and not drop him. Or no, I told her to pick him up because he was available in her league. Yes, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
I think B-Rob is going to be fine tonight.
What's he going to be afraid of on a football field after that?
Exactly. Right? I think his share will only creep up. All right, next question. I'm in a league, two running back, 3 wide receiver, where I had Derrick Henry, JT, Javonte,
Yikes.
and Cordero. So it's been
Yikes.
brutal. Picked up Walker. Should I start B-Rob tonight just in case? I'm assuming she's starting Kenneth Walker.
In case JT is out.
I would probably start Mike Boone just so you're not handcuffed.
Yeah.
But I think B-Rob's okay tonight. I would start I would play Mike Boone, and if JT plays, definitely stick him in.
Right there with you.
Peter saying, would you play Jonathan Taylor over Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Diggs in my lineup, or Curtis Samuel? Ooh, this is tough.
I mean,
if it's PPR, I'd go Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, it's tough because you have to make the decision now with Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
I would probably go Curtis Samuel.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you don't go Curtis Samuel and JT plays, then you play him, I think, over the other two. Definitely not Gabe Davis. I'm out on Gabe.
Okay, a couple more. Joaquin in the chat saying, would you trade CD Lamb and Mike Williams for Jamar Chase and Brandon Cooks, half PPR, 2-3 record with CD, Deontay, Williams, Garrett, Wilson, Hopkins, and MT as receivers?
No, I would.
I hate Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
I'm going to go no.
with you. I would go no as well.
I love Mike.
I'm not sold on Chase with what's going on in Cincy either.
Are we buying V-Rob? Yes, we are. Is Jacoby Myers real? No, he's not.
Yeah.
Mostert, London, or McKenzie for my flex PPR. Give me Mr. Raheem Mostert.
Give me McKenzie.
I kind of want to go McKenzie too. I feel it.
All right, last question. Thank you for the super chat, Black Jedi. He asked, traded Alvin for Swift plus DJ Moore, 5-0 L or W.
Traded Kamara for Swift and DJ Moore. I like it.
W.
That's a huge W,
Absolutely
especially if
W.
DJ gets traded.
Kamara is trending down.
Yes.
Obviously, Swift is coming back.
Stay
DJ
down.
Moore, I like his potential, and especially, as you said, he can get traded. If you're 5-0, you're in a great spot. Guys,
love it.
Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of the PHNX Sports Fantasy Show, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Thank you, Underdog, for everything you do and for the wonderful app and the wonderful fun we're going to have tonight watching a terrible football game. You can follow me on Twitter at Shane D. If you can follow Espo on Twitter at Espo. You can follow Shawn on Twitter at Shawn_DePause. You can follow PHNX_sports across all socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But until next week, we'll see you later.
Stick around and vote for this man on Southwest Bias.
Yes, sir.
Peace.